kind of funny because I'm looking at you, Miss Skeena, and you have a very Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm look going on, and he looks like a rocker from hell. So I can't. I'm trying to imagine you at the concert, and I'm having like a difficult time imagining it because you have like a librarian look going on right now.
This is the plaintiff, Robin Skeena. She says she loaned the defendant her former boyfriend money, and the louse won't pay her back now that they're not together. He owes her, and she's here suing him for every penny of the $1,615.12 she loaned him. This is the defendant, Michael Turgeon. He says he's a musician and he met the plaintiff at one of his shows. The plaintiff invested in his image for the band. He doesn't feel he owes this plaintiff any money, and she's going to be upset she's not with him because he's going to hit it big once COVID winds down. He's accused of letting a lady friend down.
All parties, please raise your right hands. People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Ms. Skeena,
Yes.
you and Mr. Turgeon were an item at one point, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
You dated from November 2019 to August 2020. How did you meet him?
I met him at one of his gigs. He is in a band.
Okay. And what's the name of the band, Mr. Turgeon?
Screaming Eagle Band.
Screaming Eagle Band. You have some songs on Spotify, correct?
Yes.
I've listened, and you guys are good. And it's kind of funny because I'm looking at you, Miss Skeena, and you have a very Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm look going on, and he looks like a rocker from hell. So I can't. I'm trying to imagine you at the concert, and I'm having like a difficult time imagining it because you have like a librarian look going on right now. So let me ask you, Miss Skeena, what happened during the course of the relationship? Apparently, you would front him money because I guess he needed it. Tell me about that.
Yes, correct. It started on November 26th. That was the first time that Michael asked to borrow money from me because he needed money to pay some bills. And I gave him check number 89 in the amount of $400. That was the first loan. Then the second time that he needed money was December 8th, and that was to register his vehicle for $100. He was driving for Lyft and needed to prove to Lyft that his vehicle was registered and he didn't have the funds to do that. Then we traveled to Florida. I already had a trip planned. He wasn't working and we traveled together. During that time frame, he asked to make 7 purchases on my credit card. And I have those listed, three purchases for clothes, 1 for his business cards, and 2 for hotels on his drive home, and 1 for meals while we were there. And each time that these loans were made, it was always agreed that he would pay me back. That was verbal at first. Then he again borrowed money in Florida on January 11th, $300 cash to drive home. Then the big expense was on January 14th of 2020. That's when Mike had texted me that he was in a lot of pain, and I called him back to find out what was going on. And he was crying on the phone that his car was just repossessed. He didn't want to ask his mother for the money, so I said that I would help him. However, we are going to do a payback schedule for all of this money that he has been borrowing from me. So we did the payback schedule. I sent him an email and I sent the schedule on January 14th. And he agreed in his email to that payback schedule.
Okay. And he did pay back a significant amount, right? But then
Correct.
What happened?
Yes, he paid back $2,300. And then when May 26th rolled around, I had not been receiving payments. And we had conversation between January and May 26th that Mike was not working. I agreed to cut slack on the payback schedule. However, I wrote up another one on May 26th, and he agreed to that one also in an email.
Can I ask you a question? You guys weren't living together, correct?
Correct.
No.
But you were dating, and you dated all the way through when? August?
Yes, August 31st was our last communication.
And Mr. Turgeon, you guys, were you not performing because of COVID? Like you weren't working at all? Or did you take a different job in order to make ends meet?
I had a few little jobs in between, but basically the music was my full-time job. And when COVID hit, of course, everything musically pretty much stopped. I did maybe about 2 shows a month outdoors while it was feasible in Connecticut because of weather. But after a certain date, there's no shows to be done outside. It's too cold. I don't believe I asked her. I mean, I might have asked her once, but she offered to help me. And I thought, I
Well, either way,
appreciated
though,
it
you're
very
not
much.
saying these were gifts. You agree that these were loans, right?
Yes, they were loans. Verbally, look, I'm not an executive like she is, and paperwork isn't my thing, and it's a lesson to be learned to make sure that I get my papers done right too. But verbally, I had agreed to pay her back on the premises that I had shows because I wasn't working. I didn't have a job. I mean, my job was.
What instrument do you play? Do you play an instrument, or are you the singer?
No, unfortunately, I don't play an instrument. I'm the singer.
You're the singer. All right. But you do have jobs now. According to her, you've been working a lot more since October. You've had lots of gigs since October. Is that true or not true?
Yes, I am working right now. I purchased the condo she used to own, and to get closer to her. But yeah, from her, yeah. And since I've had the condo, I mean, I was on unemployment for about 6 months. I ended up getting the extension, but I was collecting $190 a week. That is it. Okay. Now after 6 months of collecting $190 a week, now and backing off with COVID, taking some of these payments and putting them on arrearage and holding off. Well, now everything is coming around. I need to get back on track. I started working 2 months ago. 2 months ago. I make a whopping. I mean, I really don't want to disclose the figure, but it's not much, okay? And I'm so far behind, and especially not having any shows. In only 2 months, I'm still struggling just to get back on my feet with these bills that I have now.
Okay. And I'm sorry about that, but this is money that's been owed for quite some time, and she wants a judgment so that she knows you're going to have to pay her. Why did you guys break up, Ms. Skina?
We broke up because we're just not compatible. It just wasn't working out. We're not compatible. I mean, it was fun. It was a fun ride, but, the party's over. So we're not dating anymore. And the last time that I saw Mike at the end of August, he left explosively swearing and yelling at me. You, Robin, and that was the last time I ever saw him. And the last time I spoke to him on the phone, he hung up on me. So that was the end of the relationship for me.
That'll do it. What's your version?
What's my version? Oh, I did say a thing, but I didn't hang up on her. She actually hung up on me. And then, I tried contacting her a few times since then. She will not answer any texts because I was trying to rectify the situation, and she would just avoid all my texts, all my phone calls, never answered back. And my cousin had T-shirts, and we were selling some of those T-shirts, and I was letting her hold on to the money for my cousin. Well, I asked her about the money that my cousin, she had put on the side for my cousin. And she would not reply to me. She never sent it to me. And I don't see it being deducted from the $16.15 that I owe her. This is my cousin's money. It's not my money. And, two could play that game. And that's why I said, I'm not going to continue trying to call her if she's not going to make good on what she owes my cousin.
No, but that's your cousin would have to sue her if he feels that she owes him something. I can only handle what is in front of me. I know you're surprised, and according to you in your answer to the complaint, you finish your answer with, "I cannot believe she's taken it this far. The plaintiff is going to wish we stayed friends once I make it as a musician."
Well, I was no longer a commodity for her. She said to me at one point I was a commodity for her. I was an investment for her, and as soon as that investment went sour, and I no longer had work as a musician, I was no longer viable for her, as far as I'm concerned. That's how I feel.
Well, maybe
maybe
she'll regret it, maybe she won't. But in the meantime, I do need to enter an order for the remaining balance that is owed of judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,615.12. I wish you both lots of luck.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So the plaintiff gets a judgment, Mr. Turgeon. Let me ask you a question. You mind if I ask how old you are at this point?
55.
You said she's going to be sorry once you make it as a musician. I mean, the question really is, how long are you going to try and keep making it as a musician before you realize, it might not happen for you?
I mean, who's to say what age it takes to become, full-fledged musician? For 5 years, I made a full-time job out of it, and I lived meagerly, but I lived. But I enjoyed my life, and I was happy. So it's not money that makes me happy.
All right, good luck to you. But you got to pay the plaintiff. Ms. Kena, how do you feel about this? You glad you filed the lawsuit, or are you sorry for him, or how do you feel?
I'm glad that I filed the lawsuit. I mean, it was an agreement. He borrowed the money. We had a payment schedule. He agreed to it. He has had 3 jobs since I've known him, and he's been fired from them. So, he says he's just a musician. He does a lot more and has a lot more opportunity that he just doesn't seem to put too much time into.
All right. Well, I'm sorry it didn't work out for you guys. But anyway, as you said, it was a good trip while it lasted. All right, let's see what the judges have to say now.
I'm glad you got a chance to listen to the music before you heard the case, because I did as well. I got a quick listen on Spotify.
They're good.
I got to tell you, the guy has an amazing voice.
He has a great voice. The next time we're in Connecticut, we may seek them out. If you can quit your day job and be a full-time musician, you kind of have made it. Not everyone is Bruce Springsteen.
No.
So
if you can pay the bills.
If you can pay the bills just with gigs, then you're a full-time musician and you're living your best life.
Absolutely. But I mean, here we have, obviously, it's a loan. There's no real dispute that it was a loan, and it's got to be repaid. But COVID has just wrecked the live music industry. All these people and live entertainers who normally are going to small venues, medium venues, big venues, there's no place to play.
No.
Well, you and I have tickets to see a show, a concert in September of 2021. And I'm like, well, maybe we'll be in the clear and we'll actually go to this concert. We'll have a great time and we'll hear some awesome music.
Yeah.
So Betty wants to know this. Hey, Harvey, if you purchase a meal from a church preparing meals for a fundraiser and you get food poisoning and end up hospitalized, sorry for laughing there, can you sue for medical bills and lost wages from work? Well, even if it's a charity, if they're serving food and the food is spoiled and they had reason to know that, if they are negligent, in other words, the answer is yes.